In question 11 we're asked to find the highest common factor, the HCF, of those two numbers, 3780 and 3240. Uncoincidentally, we've been given those two numbers in here and they've been expressed in this sort of exponential form here. Now, firstly, to work out the highest common factor and to give our answer as a product of prime factors, well, luckily they've done it as a product of prime factors up here, made our job easier. So it's the highest common factor, and that's the key word here. Since it's common, it has to be in both. Now, what we do is we look for what is common in both. And what that means is I've got a 2 to the power of 2 here. I've got at least a 2 to the power of 2 here. I've got 2 to the power of 3, but I haven't got another 2 here. So the common elements of those two numbers are 2 to the power of 2. So that's common in both. What else is common in both? Well, I've got a 3 to the 3 on the left hand side, a 3 to the 4 on the right hand side, so at least 3 to the 3 is common. On the left I've got a 5, on the right I've got a 5, therefore that 5 is common. On the left I've got a 7, I haven't got it on the right, so that's it. So these are the ones that are common in both, and since it says to express it as a product of prime factors, the way that we do that is we say, so 2 to the power 2 is 2 times 2, and then we've got 3 lots of 3, and then one final 5. And that is as a product of prime factors, because they're all prime numbers. Now, in part B, we're asked to find the lowest common multiple, LCM, of those two numbers. So it's essentially the lowest number that both of these numbers, 3780 and 3240, would multiply into. And the way that we do that is almost opposite to the way that we've just done with the highest common factor. Instead of seeing what is common in both, we see what would both of these factors definitely multiply into. So 2 to the 2 would definitely multiply into 2 to the 3, and 2 to the 3 would obviously multiply into 2 to the 3 as well. It's 2 to the 3 would be that times 1. But the other way around it wouldn't work. So 2 to the 3 to the power of 3 would not multiply into 2 to the power of 2, because you'd have one extra 2 here. So that means the lowest common number that is common to both, the lowest common multiple therefore, is 2 to the 3. In exactly the same way we look, and again 3 to the 3 would go into 3 to the 4, and 3 to the 4 would go into 3 to the 4. This wouldn't go in that way, so what that means is we have to have at least this level of number there. So that would be 3 to the power of 4. We've then got a 5 on both sides. It's not to any power, so obviously that would be there. And then we've got a 7 on the left hand side, and essentially on the right hand side it's just a 1. So 7 would go into itself, 1 would go into itself, and 1 would go into both. So we include the 7 as well. And what that means therefore is that the lowest common multiple of those two numbers, the lowest number that both of those numbers would go into, expressing our answer as a product of prime factors, would be 2 by 2 by 2, and then we've got 4 lots of 3, and then we'd have a 5, and then, sorry for the writing, but we'd have a 7 as well.